Hello everyone, my name is Ismail and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here with a new tutorial for you. In this video, I try to speak very simply and explain the commands I am executing in a very simple way so that it is easy to understand, and with some simple techniques we can have a useful tutorial. Okay, today we are going to work on a leather armor and create a high quality, realistic leather material using a simple technique. Let's get started. First, I add a fill layer, and from the section I turn off the metal, high and normal option. I don't need them, and I select this color for my leather. This is the base color, and later I will add the texture. Okay. And I adjust the roughness. Okay, that's great. That's what I want. I'll change the name of my layer. Now I'll go to the filter section and add the HSL filter because I want to have some color variations and changes on my leather. Okay, I increase the saturation and decrease the lightness. Alright, that's very good. Now I add the black mask, and from the add effects section I add a fill. I want to determine the impact of this color on the work, and then from the texture section I type grunge and select one of the grunge maps. I think number 10 will be okay. I put it in mask mode so you can see. I also change the projection type. I select triplanar and I change the scale. I think 4 or 3.5 is better. Okay. I reduce the contrast and also slightly reduce the balance amount. Alright. I add another fill, and this time I select a different grunge map. Maybe number 7 will be okay. I select triplanar again. I set the scale to 5. I think that's better. Okay. I'm reducing the contrast again and making the balance less as well. Okay, that's better. Well, from this part, I'm putting the mode on multiplay mode to preserve the effect of the previous map. You can see that the bottom layer is applying its effect. Alright, I'm selecting the material mode. I'm reducing this amount a bit to get a better result. I'm adding an HSL filter again from the filter section. And this time I'm increasing the lightness a bit and also increasing the saturation a little. Okay. I'm adding a black mask again, and from the texture section I'm searching for grunge to add the desired map to it. This time I'm going to use a different map. For example, I'm using the clouds map. I'm changing the UV again and setting the scale to 2. Now it's better. I'm increasing the contrast a bit and reducing the balance. Okay, that's good. I'm also reducing this number a bit, like setting it to 42. Alright? We've added color changes or variations to the work. Well, I'm creating a folder and moving this tool into this folder and naming it variation 1, for example. To apply the changes, be sure to set the blending mode to pass through, okay? Well, I want to make another series of color changes. Okay, I'm changing these values again until I get a good result. Alright. Well, I'm adding an HSL filter again from the filter section. This time I'm changing the hue and also increasing the saturation a bit. And reducing the lightness. I'm adding a black mask and adding a fill again to be able to control the changes. And this time I want to add a map from the noises. And in this section I'm searching for noise. I think the moisture noise might be suitable. We are going to the mask mode to better see the map on the triplanar mode. Okay, I'll also change the scale a bit. I think 3 is good. I'll also reduce the balance a little. I won't change the contrast. This is fine. Well, the amount is just too high and I'm going to reduce this amount to make it more realistic. I think 25 is okay. I'm adding an HSL filter again. I'm changing the color a bit to get a billowish color. I'm also reducing the lightness a bit. I'm adding a black mask and then adding a fill. From these maps, I'm selecting Map Clouds 3. I'm changing the UE again. I'm also setting the scale to 4. Okay? That's right. You can adjust these numbers until you get the desired result. I'm increasing the contrast and decreasing the balance. Okay. I'm adding a new folder. I'll name it Variation 2 and move these filters into the folder. I'm setting the blending mode to pass through so we can see the change. Alright, first I'll create a folder and put all these layers inside, naming it leather. I'm adding a black mask so I can only add the part I want. I'm selecting the part I want. But not selecting the belt for now, okay? I'm creating a new folder and adding a fill layer to it. I'm changing the folder name to high. I'm turning off the metal and normal option and only leaving the roughness. I'll give it a bit for now and apply the exact desired size later. So here, I created a full blur and added a layer to it. I'm adding a black mask to the full layer and adding a fill layer. Well, here I need a texture for the high. I'm adding a number of textures to use in a texture bake. Okay, I'm posting these textures in a Telegram channel for you to download. Okay, I'm adding these textures. I'm selecting the texture mode. Alright, I want to use this texture here. Okay, I'm repositioning the UV in the triplanar mode. I think a value of 1.5 is suitable, maybe 1.4. Okay, you can set the appropriate value yourselves. I'm adding a level to manage the scale. I'm adjusting the scale and selecting the best option. I'll tweak the amount of high a bit, okay? I think that's good. That's really nice. Now I want to add some more details to this texture. So I'm creating another folder. I'm adding a fill layer and controlling the high. I'm adding a black mask and adding a new layer, but this time I'm using a different map. For example, I'm using this texture. I want to add more details. I'm selecting the mask mode to see it better. I'm putting the UV in the planar mode. It's very easy. I'm setting the scale to 1.5. I think that's okay. You can see the details have been added in certain areas. I'm adding a level to control the amount. Okay, that's good now. We were able to easily add these details. The amount of blue is a bit too much. I'm going into the variation and reducing the blue. I'm also adjusting the balance a bit. Okay, that's much better now. So we've added the texture and now I want to add a roughness and control the glossiness. I'm creating a folder and naming it Roughness. Okay, I'm adding a fill layer and this time I'm only turning on the roughness. I'm also controlling the amount. I'm adding a black mask and adding a fill as well. And I'm using the same texture that I used for the material. I'm copying this and using it in the roughness section. Okay. I want to control the amount of roughness. As you can see, only the highlights are glossy and I created this by changing the numbers. Okay, I'm going to reduce this value a bit to make it look more natural. It's good now. It looks great. Now I want to improve the depth of the texture a bit. I'm adding a filter. I'm reducing the lightness to make it darker. Okay, I'm adding a black mask and I'm copying those same layers from before and placing them here. Now I want to darken these leader streaks and cracks a bit. Okay, great. You see? These cracks have darkened and help improve the depth of our texture. Okay, so far we've been able to create a really nice leather material, but it still needs more detail to look more natural. I want to add some damages and imperfections. I'm creating a new folder. I'm adding a fill layer and I'm selecting this color. I'm turning off the high and normal. We don't need them. Okay, I'm increasing the roughness a bit to reduce the glossiness. Okay, that's good. I'm adding a black mask to the folder and adding a fill layer. I'm using this map. I think it should be fine. I'm changing the UV again. I'm reducing the balance and increasing the contrast. I've chosen a slightly brighter color so I can better see the changes. Later, I'll change the color and select the appropriate one. Okay, I'm adding a generator and selecting the metal edge option, so I can also control the leader edges. I'm setting the mode to screen mode so the changes in the lower layer don't get lost. Now it's time to change the color and make it a bit darker to make it look more natural. I'm adjusting the metal edge setting and increasing and decreasing the values. And I'm setting this value to 50. I think that should be okay. You can see the change in the leather edges. Now I'm copying the details we created for the texture and using them here. Meaning I want to add a bit of depth to the letter edges as well, okay? I'm changing the high value, setting the number to 3, okay? Now I want to make the edges and the outer part of the letter a bit darker and create a color difference. I'm adding a filter. Increasing the saturation a bit and decreasing the lightness, like this. I'm adding a black mask and I want to use smart masks, okay? So I'm deleting this filter and adding my own curvature, okay? I'm putting this in mask mode. I'm adjusting the numbers until I reach the desired result. You can see the changes. Changing these numbers can give us the right result. Don't be afraid to change these numbers, you know? Okay. Okay, now you can see the edges how become a bit darker. I'm changing the color a bit. "100 is a bit too much, and I'll try to get a better result by changing and decreasing the numbers." Okay. I'm adding a fill layer, turning off the normal and selecting a slightly lighter color. I'm increasing the roughness a bit. I'm adding a black mask. And from the generator, I'm adding metal edge to have control over the edges. I'll try again to reach the appropriate result by changing the numbers. I'll increase the grunge amount. Okay. I'm rate checking and slightly adjusting the color. Okay? Okay, you can see the changes on the edges of the work. I'll also reduce this number. To better see the details, I'm adding a sharp filter. Mm, Much better. Can you see? Okay. I'm reducing the amount again. Okay? Alright. I'll copy this layer, and this time I want to add some lines and scratches to the work. I'll make the color a bit brighter. I'll add a fill layer and select this map from the textures. I'll set the UE to triplanar mode and scale it to 3. I'll tweak the setting a bit, reducing the line length slightly and increasing the contrast a little. I'll brighten the color a bit so it's more visible. Okay, much better. I'll refine the color again. It's really great, and we've created an excellent material so far. I'll try to further improve the detail. I want to divide the letters into 2 parts, and I don't want to use the same material for the entire work. I'll make a copy of this folder and just want to slightly change the color of the material we built together. I'll remove the part I don't want to use to add the new layer. Okay? I'll also select the desired part for the second leather material. In the base, I'll make the color a bit darker. You can see this material is now a bit darker. Very good. I'll reduce the lightness so it's more visible, a little darker. I'll try to get a better result by adjusting this setting. I'll change the numbers again. Alright, it's okay now and looks great. Okay, I'll add a golden material from the material section for the middle parts. I'll make a few changes. This material is ready and won't take too much time to test. I'm adding a black mask and applying it only to the metallic parts. It needs a bit of adjustment. I need to slightly change the high level. Okay. Much better now. Great. I'm also selecting the belt and choosing the same leather as before. The leather material is ready. And now I want to add some more patterns and details to our work. I'm adding the textures I need. I'm adding a fill layer and selecting a dark color. I'm turning off metal and normal. I'm adding a black mask and adding a paint. And now I want to select an appropriate brush so I can add the details. Okay, I think this will work. I double click to select it and can also drag and drop to add it. I'm adjusting the amount a bit from this part to create some spacing using the spacing section. Okay. Okay, I think this looks great now. And I'm starting to create these forms by shaping the edges of the work as you see. To keep it from getting too long, I'm pausing the video and working on all the intended parts with this brush. Then I'll come back to show you the result. Okay, you can see where I created this texture. Now I want to work on the details of these patterns a bit and make the edges slightly brighter to look more natural. Okay, I'm adding an anchor point so the changes apply only to this specific area. Alright, I'm adding another fill layer, turning off normal and metal, using this bright color, adjusting the roughness. Adding a black mask, adding a fill layer, and adding that anchor point here. Now you can see this color is applied exactly to that area, thanks to the anchor point we added. I'm going to change the roughness again. I'm adding a blur filter to make the color a bit more diffused. Okay, that's great. I'm adding another fill layer, and again I select the same anchor point. And this time I set the mode to subtract so the effect of the lower layer doesn't get lost. You can see the edges are a bit brighter now. I'm adjusting the settings again. I add another fill layer and I select the anchor point so that the forms themselves have this color. But I reduce the amount of it. That's great. Okay. Well, I'm taking a copy of this layer and pasting it here. I'm changing the color a bit and clearing the filter, and this time I'm adding a paint. I want to add a new pattern. I'm changing the way it looks for that. Okay. I'm adding the textures I want. I'm setting it to texture mode. Well, I want to use these textures and create patterns on the letter. I select this image and add it to the stencil. From the section, I reduce the stencil opacity a bit. And I set it on the part I want. I hold down the S key and right click to control it. Okay, that's right. I adjust it until it's okay. Now it's good. And I start creating the pattern by clicking. Okay. Now I'm adding depth to it and adjust the number. I make the color a bit darker. As you can see, this pattern turned out really well. I take this layer and put it on top of the roughness layer, so the shine doesn't apply to this layer. I want this part to be a bit matte. On the paint layer, I add an anchor point. Now I add another fill layer here, and this time I add the same anchor point we just added. And I set its mode to screen. I adjust the settings a bit. Okay, that's great. Well, I pause the video again and create this pattern in the rest of the sections as well. In the same way you saw, you can add this pattern anywhere you want. Okay, with the maps I had, I added the patterns to different sections. You can see the changes. This is really great. Alright. Okay, let's move on to stitching. I want to add these stitches and finally our work will be done. I add a layer and select the stitches. I select this stitching pattern. Okay, I change the settings. I change the color a little darker. Okay, this is better. From here you can see different types. I select this model. I select the third one. I still control the settings a bit to get the desired result. I set the size to 2.5. I increase the depth of the work a bit. Very good. And I start adding the stitching to the letter edges. Everything is great. I pause the video again and add this stitching to the letter edges. So you can see that I have added stitching in all the sections. It's very easy and you can do this very quickly. I add a filter to this layer to control the color. Okay. I change the saturation and lightness. Okay, very good. Well, our work is done. Thanks a lot for watching this tutorial and I hope you enjoyed this video and it has been useful for you. Don't forget to like and comment, subscribe to this channel for more videos. Until the next video, goodbye.